Okay, let's dive into this. Picture it, May 15th, 2025. 17-year-old Phoebe Bishop has her bags packed. She's got a plane ticket to Perth, and she is just hours away from seeing her boyfriend, Levi, and finally leaving a pretty chaotic home life behind for good.
I mean, everything was set. She made one last quick call to her boyfriend right before she was supposed to check in, and then nothing, just silence. Her phone went dark forever, and Phoebe Bishop never, ever boarded that flight. So to really understand what happened to Phoebe, first we kind of have to understand who she was. What was she like? And more importantly, what was she so desperate to run away from?
See, this trip to Perth, it wasn't just a vacation for her. For Phoebe, it was a lifeline. Her family called her a free spirit, and she was also fiercely loyal. But her relationship with her mom was strained, and that made things at home really tough. She saved up for months for this ticket, and it really was her one crucial shot at escape. So after things got bad with her mother, Phoebe ended up moving in with a couple of acquaintances, Tana Bramley and her partner, James Wood. But the home they gave her, well, it wasn't a safe harbor. It turned out to be something much, much worse. Her own words really paint a chilling picture, don't they? This text message, which she sent just 3 days before she disappeared, shows you exactly how desperate she was to get out of that house on Milan Street. She was literally counting down the hours. And it's pretty easy to see why she was so desperate to leave. Neighbors called the place a house of hell. They described just overwhelming squalor, constant noise, even reports of animal remains on the property. I mean, this was a truly toxic and dangerous place for a teenager to be living. So when the police started investigating her disappearance, they obviously went to the last people who saw Phoebe alive, her housemates, Tana Bramley and James Wood. And their story, well, it started to unravel almost immediately. Right, so their story just fell apart right away. They claimed they dropped Phoebe off near the airport after they'd had some kind of argument. But guess what? There was zero CCTV footage of her anywhere near there. They said she just walked off, but her phone was shut off just moments after her last call. And here's the real kicker. Surveillance footage put their car near a remote national park, an hour's drive in the completely opposite direction of the airport. From there, the case just escalated so quickly. What began as a search for a missing teenager on May 15th very soon became a full-blown homicide investigation. As the suspect's alibi just crumbled to dust, the search area got wider, and that led to the tragic discovery of Phoebe's remains on June 6th and the immediate arrest of her two housemates. A tragedy like this doesn't just end with the victim's death. The investigation and all the media attention, it sent shockwaves right through her family, and it exposed these really deep fractures that ended up playing out in the public eye. Phoebe's mother, Kylie, wasn't just dealing with the horror of losing her daughter. She was also facing intense public scrutiny over their strained relationship. This quote was actually part of her defense against criticism, some of which came from her own sister. It just added another layer of heartbreak to an already devastating situation. So, with Tana Bramley and James Wood arrested and a mountain of evidence that just completely contradicted their stories, the case moved to the courts. The goal now was to find the legal accountability for what happened to Phoebe. In court, the prosecution just methodically took apart the suspects' lies. They presented the alibi that didn't hold up, the damning surveillance footage of their car, and the forensic evidence from the national park. Piece by piece, the evidence built this case that really only pointed to one conclusion. So after weighing all that overwhelming evidence, the jury came back with a guilty verdict. Tana Bramley and James Wood were convicted for the murder of Phoebe Bishop. Legally, justice was served, and it brought a really painful and public chapter to its formal close. And that is the haunting question that just hangs in the air, isn't it? We know who was responsible, and we know how they tried to cover it up. But